Hey folks, it's your boy Droid here with a brand new video. I want to call this the video for the courts update. That's what I'm gonna call it. Courts update. NBA Playgrounds 2. NBA 2K Playgrounds 2, I should say. And this video is gonna be one of the few videos where I'm actually sort of prepared ahead of time. Normally I just sort of say what I'm thinking at the time, but I kind of prepared a little bit for this because I can't really play the game. I can't test it out or anything, so that's how it's gonna be right now. So basically, I'm gonna break down this update into pros and cons. And there's a couple cons, but a couple of pros, but it's mostly cons. So basically, what I'm gonna do here is say the pros first, and then say all these cons. So the first pro I'm gonna say is that there are player challenges that are it's been revamped, that system. So basically, what happens is instead of having it be season mode or exhibition mode challenge, it's in theory it's supposed to be any mode you can play the challenge, and that basically kills the videos on my channel. But all jokes aside, it was necessary because that's the only way to fix it for the Supersonics and the Playgrounders. Basically releasing challenges for season mode only, the way they did it is just a basic oversight, and I'm gonna get into it a little bit later in this video, some of the issues with this change. But it's a recurring theme in this game where they release things and don't actually test them out that well. You figure if they're doing the necessary testing, they would have realized, oh, wait a minute, the Supersonics aren't gonna be able to be diamond, but no one, and it's been this way since the beginning of the game. It's basically 5 months after the release, almost 4 or 5 months, they decided to fix it. Hey, it is what it is. The next pro is this new court that they dedicated to that young kid. I'm not gonna go into the story, but it was a nice gesture. They're raising money for charity and everything, so it's always good. But I don't want to really discuss it that much on my channel. I don't want to make it too political. I want to make it, if I'm making something political, it's more like a spiritually based thing. It's not a sort of traditional politician in the sense where it's all about what you want, you know what I'm saying? And then the last thing I have for pros are, new players, so they re-added Yao Ming, re-added Tim Duncan, you got brand new Mike Bibby in there. So I'll post a list in the description box, but there's some nice new old school players, some modern players on different teams. I think they got JJ Briere in there too. But yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be 40. Well, I think it's 38 days now till I'm able to play again. I can't wait. So now let's get into all these cons. So first con I have basically is what I feel are filler players. Now, there's a lot of common players and epic players, and you know how I play the game. I play with a lot of epic and common players, but let's just keep it real, yo. What they've been doing every update is they're adding players that were in the old game. And basically, if you don't notice, during the NBA Playgrounds 1, there was a huge gap where basically they were trying to make things like 2 vs 2 online and everything, and they decided instead of adding it to the original game, they're gonna make a new game. Yeah, full crap, I know it. But what they did is basically they have it, they changed the appearance of the players to make it seem like a new game, but it's the same game, just much more polished. So basically what you have here are players from the old game that were on teams that they're not really known to be playing for. The teams they were on for like maybe 1 or 2 years. And what they're doing is they're adding those players into the game, or players that they had already made for the new game, but they didn't release them right away, and they end up changing teams. So what they're doing is they're releasing these new modern day players, but you're looking at the team and it's like it's an old team they don't really play for. They didn't play for that much, and the reason I'm doing it is just to be lazy, in my opinion, adding all these filler players instead of just making a new player or changing the jersey. Like Brook Lopez, he's released as a modern player, untucked jersey for the Lakers, and I don't think he even played that much for the Lakers. He's in the Bucks now. They should have changed his jersey to the Bucks, put him on the Bucks. I don't understand why they released him on the Lakers. He's not really known to be playing on the Lakers. You don't consider him a guy. Oh, man, Brook Lopez was so good on the Lakers. No, he's a Nets guy. He played, I think, a little bit for the Lakers, but he's now a Bucks player. So they should have released him for the Bucks. And then also Victor Oladipo is another player I listed. Lou Williams, I think I said that already. But you're talking about guys who are on a team for one season or something. They're not really known for playing on that team, but you're releasing them again. Make a new player. And then that brings me to my second issue with the new update. So where are these modern players like Joe Ingles, Miles Turner, guys like that? Guys that are playing in the league right now that are good. Where are these rookies? Where are these guys that are good players in the league now that are young, they're not in the game? It's taken so long to add these players into the game, and people are getting frustrated for the right reason, because you're not adding simple players that you could easily add. You're adding filler players instead. Alright, so I'm going into the biggest issues with this update. So people are gonna disagree with me, but I have to say it. So one of the things they added to this update was the court editor, brand new feature. I didn't realize they were gonna add this feature at all. I don't think they really discussed it that much, but they added a court editor feature. Now, some of you are gonna say it's a nice addition, but I'm gonna spin it to you in a different way. What the court editor features, to be able to make a new court, you have to invest in microtransactions to get the packs to buy stuff for the court editor. So it's basically adding more microtransactions to the game. And I'm going to ask you this question: how much do you want to bet that this was planned from the jump, but they decided to stall it and delay it later on in the game because of how much backlash 2K gets for making games with in-app purchases? Y'all know I'm not lying. I think they were going to add this earlier on, but they stalled it. And that's why there was so little content at the beginning of the game, just players and stuff, because they wanted to add this court editor. I mean, because it doesn't make sense to add the court editor so late. That seems like a thing you release at the beginning of the game. I think they just were like, oh man, let's sort of, take our time adding this microtransaction. So that's more microtransactions added to the game. Some of you all disagree, but it is what it is. I don't think I'm going to want to invest into the microtransactions anymore. I spent some money on the game early on, try to get some content to y'all. But in my opinion, this game doesn't deserve it. I think they should have released more players at a time. There's so many players I think that still need to be added, and it's still in March. It's March. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. Okay, so this next point is probably the most, it's probably the biggest issue that people have with this update from what I've read, and that is the diamond players being demoted back to gold. And the reason why this happened is because they changed the challenges. But you see, this is what I'm talking about. They didn't test the update well enough, and I don't understand. I'm not gonna say I'm an expert on making games, testing games, but I have to figure before you release the game, you would have had an inkling that such thing would happen. How are you're gonna tell me that you had changed, you released all the challenges, you changed it up, but you didn't test and see, oh, maybe they revert back? I mean, I can't. And some people say some of the challenges don't work. I mean, it's a nice gesture to release, to change the challenges so it's much more easy for people to do them. But at the same token, the fact that people are losing progress on their diamond players, that should not have happened. And that's a big issue. I'm glad I can't play, so by the time I play again, I won't be at risk. But I just think that when updates come out, there's always going to be sort of unforeseen things, unforeseen bugs. You just happen to miss a little bit in coding, but the fact that you have such a glaring issue. Like as soon as people play the game, my things turn gold. Like I think that's not testing the game out. That's the the main issues I have with this game. My other thing is where the patch notes at. It's just taking forever. I think this is a joke because usually when people that release a update on the game, usually they release the update notes at the same time. But for whatever reason, these patch notes have still not been released. It's been hours since the game's been updated. So until I get that, I want to get those patch notes so I can have more details on any changes. Is there crossplay added to this or no? I would say probably not because they added a chord editor. How is that going to work out? And when you're playing the game, but I think that this update overall, I think it's a flop of an update. There's some good things with this update, but there's some other bad things in this update I think outweigh it. So let me know what y'all think in the comments section. Feel free to leave a like, subscribe, comment. Thank you.